Hello and welcome into TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. It is official. Frenkie De Jong will be a Barcelona player come the summer. On the 1st of July, Frenkie De Jong will put pen to paper and become the new Blaugrana centre midfielder. It is exciting news. It is the news that we have been waiting for a long time now. De Jong is Barça. The final details are the player will sign on a 5-year deal on July the 1st and he will sign for a fee of 75 million euros plus a further 11 million euros in variables and add-ons. So that transfer could in the end reach 86 million euros. Do we care? Oh no, we don't. We're happy we got our man, and in this video we are going to be discussing exactly how we won the war against PSG to get Frenkie De Jong's signature. It's all coming right up. Sit right back, get your popcorn, it's gonna go off. Firstly, guys, I want to make it absolutely clear that Frenkie De Jong has always wanted to join Barcelona. From the very beginning, De Jong has wanted to play here, he's wanted to experience what it's like, and he's always had his eye on Barcelona, not Manchester City. They were one of the first clubs who made an offer for De Jong with Pep Guardiola. That was certainly encouraging, but he didn't want to go there, and not for PSG, who arrived later on, as we're going to discuss, because Frenkie De Jong has grown up watching Barcelona as a kid. He certainly followed our results, he followed our performances. His idols were the likes of Xavi and Iniesta. He specifically said in previous interviews that he used to watch those two players and look to learn from them, watch what they were doing and almost try and replicate that. And certainly now in his game today, you can actually see that he really has tried to do that, and he reportedly cannot wait to play with Lionel Messi. And I mean, of course he can. It's Lionel Messi. That is a massive incentive for any player joining Barcelona. And just a few weeks ago, Barcelona firmly believed they reached an agreement with De Jong himself, and they also believed they were very close to reaching an agreement with Ajax. They were expecting things to move along very quickly, and they were actually expecting to make an announcement at the early stage of January. But I'm guessing at this point, there were a few bumps in negotiations with Ajax. Potentially at the time, they were upset with the fee. They didn't want to pay all that much for De Jong, and potentially they were playing hardball. Potentially, we believe we were the only club with a chance of signing De Jong, and for that reason, maybe we got a bit comfortable in our negotiations. But at the time, there was also a few doubts in De Jong's mind over playing time. He was very worried about our public pursuit of Adrien Rabiot, and for that reason, he was just holding back a little bit and thinking, hang on a second, I want to go somewhere where I'm going to play regularly. I'm not going to have my time hampered by somebody who's going to be joining in the same summer, which was then when PSG arrived on the scene. They smelled blood, they went in for the kill, they went to Ajax, they went to De Jong, they went straight to Ajax and said, look, we'll pay whatever you want. They basically went there with a blank check to pay the fee that Ajax wanted. And then it was up to PSG really to go and convince De Jong to sign for them over Barcelona, the club of his dreams. Now at this point, we'll never ever know if Frenkie De Jong was actually close to joining PSG, whether he actually agreed to join them, or whether he was close to getting his head turned. But what we do know is that Ajax wanted to sell to the highest bidder. If at the time Frenkie De Jong said to PSG, you know what, yes, it could have been done, but at the same time, that was what prompted us into action. PSG had paid the big money, they were trying to agree it with De Jong, and at that time, as soon as Barcelona learned of that news, they were saying, look, we've got to go to Amsterdam, we've got to sort this out right here and now. If we want De Jong, we have to act. It was then BARTOMEU, Pep Segura, Eric Abidal. It wasn't just the president, it was the entire team there of the board that went to Amsterdam, sat down face to face with Ajax and said, look, we are going to pay what you demand. We've agreed to deal with Frenkie De Jong as well. We believe here we've got the complete package. And this appears to be where the deal was eventually reached. Both Ajax and Frenkie De Jong himself were very happy with what Barcelona put on the table. Ajax, of course, are receiving a fee they believe is very much fair for De Jong. It's certainly a high one. I think they're going to be happy with that. And Frenkie De Jong, in that last meeting, was told different things about his playing time. He was given different assurances, and according to certain reports, there could be players who are going to be leaving Barcelona in the summer paving the way for Frenkie De Jong, as we're going to come on to. Now, according to Goal, De Jong has agreed a deal in terms of wages with Barcelona for a deal worth 10 million euros net in wages, which will be the fixed base sum, and that's what he's going to get at the very least per annual year, which is a lot of money, and it could also even rise to 16 million euros net with bonuses over titles and appearances and things like that. Those wages there will make him one of Barcelona's highest earners, and according to Cat Radio, just to follow up there on what we were saying about playing time, Frenkie De Jong in that final meeting was promised regular first team football, a spot in the team, not a permanent spot, he's not going to be untouchable, but he is going to play a lot of football, and also he was told that 2 midfielders and at least 1 starter will be leaving Barcelona this summer to give him that time. And that's the big question really, what starter is going to be departing to make way for Frenkie De Jong in the lineup? And I think the most likely departure right now, when you look at the players that we have, the senior players in our starting lineup, it's not going to be Arthur Melo, it's certainly not going to be Sergio Busquets. I think the one you'd look at right now would be Ivan Rakitic, a player who was very heavily linked to an exit to PSG last summer. He was very close to going, and he was just about convinced to stay by Ernesto Valverde and the board. And Rakitic, of course, is somebody as well who likes to play nearly every single game, and perhaps he wouldn't really settle for more of a rotational role at the club, and with De Jong's arrival and that first team promise, Rakitic could be on his way this summer. He's turning 31 in March, and this summer really could be the last opportunity, certainly for us, to get a significant transfer fee for him, as well as Rakitic himself. This could be his last chance to really move away, establish himself again at one of Europe's leading clubs. After this summer, he may not get that chance again. And likewise here, about Frenkie De Jong's arrival, there's been a lot of talk about whether or not his arrival will hamper the development of the likes of Arthur Melo, Carlos Alenia, and of course, Ricky Puig, players coming up from the academy. Will De Jong affect those players? Now, personally, I don't see this. I really don't. I think De Jong coming in, Arthur's going to continue in that midfield alongside something like Frenkie De Jong, and that for me is extremely exciting to think of Arthur and De Jong side by side, 2 young players growing in confidence, fantastic on the ball. There is so much to like about that kind of duo. And then you've got Carlos Alenia. I think he's going to have an even more prominent role in the first team next season. He's made his breakthrough this year. I think next season we are going to be seeing a lot more in the team of Carlos Alenia. Then there's somebody like Ricky Puig or even Oriol Busquets coming up from Barcelona B. Is Frenkie De Jong going to take those opportunities? But I think players like that coming up from the B team, they are going to take some time. They're going to take some time in the first team, like we've seen with Carlos Alenia really this season, just to establish themselves fully and get those games under their belt. Youngsters will need time to grow. They'll need time to gain experience. You can't just come into the first team and play 50 games a season. It doesn't really work like that. So with De Jong's arrival, I actually think you're going to be able to integrate those youngsters a lot more easily, simply because there's not going to be huge pressure on them. There's not going to be a lot of weight on their shoulders that they need to come into the first team and perform straight away because we're relying on them. We've got players now like Arthur Melo, like Frenkie De Jong, top quality midfield players that just takes that pressure off the youngsters coming up. They can develop, they can integrate themselves into the first team at their own pace. And likewise, of course, with a player coming in, a big transfer fee, of course it is, and indeed the wages are reported to be very high indeed. And look, they are. The transfer fee is high, the wages are going to be high, but at the end of the day, you've got to accept modern football. I don't like the way that it's going. I would much rather go back to the days when football wasn't ruled by money, but at the end of the day, you've got to accept reality. If you want genuine quality, especially young players who can really give you that service over the next 10 years or so, in the current market, you've got to pay big money. It is as simple as that, because if we didn't pay all that money for De Jong, PSG would have, and there we would have lost out on what is a very key target for us. De Jong is coming in, he's 21 years old, and I'm really not exaggerating when I say this man could be the future of our midfield for the next 10 years. And so the fee there, when you break it down, when you really even it all out over those years of service, it could actually be a very good investment, and at the end of it all, it might not seem that high. And when it comes to Barcelona, and certainly when it comes to us in recent times, we can actually spend a lot of money on players that we don't even need, that we don't even want. A lot of players coming into the club, you might think that's a bit too much, why are we going down that road? So I think here, it's a player that we've all wanted. It's a player that certainly suits our system. We should celebrate the signing. Don't worry too much about the fee. Don't get bogged down with all the add-ons and things like that. Let's focus on the player. Let's focus on his talents, because when you look at that, there is so much to be happy about. And finally, guys, I do want to just mention our former Barcelona player, scorer in a European Cup final, and also Netherlands coach, Ronald Koeman. And I want to mention him simply because I believe that he would have had a pretty big role in talking to De Jong and advising him about Barcelona and about PSG, because Koeman actually actually did an official interview around the days when De Jong was potentially having his head turned by PSG, and it actually came out at the time that Ronald Koeman basically said, I've talked to all my Netherlands players, I've talked to De Ligt, I've talked to De Jong, and I've advised them all with regard to transfers, because I'm the national team coach, I'm entitled to an opinion, and I just really advise them on where I think they best develop, where they best suit. And I can guarantee you now that Ronald Koeman is certainly very fond of Barcelona. He played here for a long time, he was a fantastic player, and I really do believe the great memories that he had at Barcelona, he will have been telling De Jong, go there, don't go to PSG, don't go down that road. Barcelona, with your skill set, with the way you are as a person, that is the place for you, and I can guarantee you that you're going to enjoy yourself there. So I think certainly in this particular deal, the board have come out of it with a bit of credit. Certainly they did well when they needed to. They started off a bit slow, they got a bit complacent, but when PSG came in, they were very ruthless in the way they went back to Amsterdam and really thrashed out that deal with Ajax. We probably paid a bit more than we should have done, but at the end of the day, we've got our man, and that's all that counts. Certainly Ronald Koeman, I think behind the scenes, is due a lot of credit, and also Ajax. They developed a player here in the way that we like. They've got a very similar philosophy to our own, and I think here we've got ourselves a phenomenal player in Frenkie De Jong. And of course, guys, I'm going to be coming up with a brand new video on Frenkie De Jong, separate to this one, a complete video looking at his style of play, his background, how he's going to fit at Barcelona, and what he can give us when he does sign in the summer transfer window, which is going to be incredibly exciting. So I really do hope that you guys are as hyped as I am. I know that we've been waiting for this for a long time. It has been a saga, but now it is done. It is signed. It is sealed. Frenkie De Jong, FC Barcelona player. How good does that sound? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. What do you think of De Jong's imminent arrival? What do you think he'll bring to the club? And how excited are you by this deal? I'll wait for your thoughts in the comments down below. More videos coming up very soon indeed. Thanks for watching. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça!